Well, this is our third week of our suggested topic series about action request sermons. I was asked, say something about God's grace. Well, to respond to this question is not easy because to truly justify our understanding of God's grace means to focus on what it is, how people are transformed by it and through it, and for those who fully believe in God and His Son Jesus Christ, how these people live in grace, guided by God's righteous way of living on earth as we prepare for the life to come. A little something about God's grace will be to sing the favorite hymn of many, Amazing Grace, which we will, right after we finish our sermon time here. But to sing that song without knowing the full background story of this beloved hymn is just that little something. So to say something more about it is to share with you why John Newton, a clerk and slave trader, who in the 1700s traveled by ship bringing slaves into the New World, but who realized that there was something different, something wrong, something that needed to be changed in his life. In fact, it was through God's grace that he wrote these words and his life changed in 1779. God changed his life. He immediately stopped doing this kind of work. And just a little bit over 11 years later, he trained, he studied, he read the Bible, he prayed, he became a preacher at the parish churches in Olney, England. And Newton identified himself with King David's words, "Who am I, O Lord, that you have brought me here?" It was God's grace that helped him recognize who he was and enabled him to see. On Newton's tombstone it reads, "John Newton was by the rich mercy of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, preserved, restored, pardoned, and appointed to preach the faith he had long labored to destroy." God's grace made the difference in his life. But what is grace? We talk as though we understand it. The bank, of course, gives us a grace period if we need to transfer money over. People in leadership fall from grace. Musicians speak of that little pickup note, a little grace note. An actress may be gracious, a dancer graceful. And we name hospitals, infant girls, prenatal prayers, grace, because it suits us. It's one of those church words along with forgiveness, faith, and fellowship. But do we fully understand it? In Max Lucado's book, Grace, Lucado describes grace as a drenching, a wildness, a white water riptide, turn your upside downness about it. Grace comes after you. It rewires you from insecure to God secure, from regret riddled to better because of it, from afraid to die to ready to fly. Grace is the voice that calls us to change and then gives us the power to pull it off. When grace happens, we receive a new heart and a new spirit from God. It is really like a spiritual heart transplant. God dwells within us. That is Jesus Christ in us. No other religion or philosophy makes such a claim. No other movement implies the living presence of the leader in followers. We don't get grace, but we do receive it. Grace meets us where we are, but does not leave us where it found us. For we are forever changed because of God's grace. Such is the case in the story of John 8, where a woman was caught in the act of adultery. This woman was taken from where she was, marched through the streets, and brought to the temple. Jesus is teaching in the temple that morning, and a crowd has gathered around him. All those who had accused the woman of her sin stepped in front of the crowd and they spoke to Jesus. "Teacher, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. The law of Moses says, stone her. What do you say?" What was Jesus to do and say? How could the woman deny the charge? She had been caught, picked up from the home where she was, and marched from the street to the temple court. What Jesus does is outright amazing. What does Jesus do? He stoops down and he writes in the dust. And then standing upright beside the woman, he states, "All right, stone her. But let those who have never sinned throw the first stones." Jesus then stoops down again, waiting. Rocks fall to the ground, but not at him. Jesus continues to write in dirt. The accusers slip away one by one until only Jesus and a woman is left in front of the crowd. The accusers leave. Jesus then speaks to the woman, "Where are your accusers? Didn't even one of them condemn you?" "No, neither do I. Go and sin no more." What had this woman received in that moment? Christ's gift of grace. Jesus does the same for all of us, no matter the sin, immorality, stupidity, dishonesty, irresponsibility, whatever it is. Jesus intercedes on our behalf, and we receive his grace. As Rick read from Ephesians 2, "You were dead through the trespasses and sins in which you once lived, following the course of this world, following the rule of the power of the spirit that is now at work among those who are disobedient. But you have been saved by God's grace." God raised up Jesus. And with Jesus, we are given a seat with him in heaven. By grace, you have been saved through faith, not as a result of works, but because it is a gift in itself. Because if it was a gift, it was only given to you by the things that you do, one and more would boast against another. But it's truly a gift from God. Not like any gifts. Just think of the time when you're carrying many packages. You know, before Christmas or special holidays, when there's a special sale on, or when you need to buy gifts for special events like weddings and new babies, graduations, birthdays, anniversaries. We might find ourselves walking around and our hands are full. But what happens if and when you see someone you know as you're walking around carrying all these boxes or bags? Your hands are full, and you cannot even exchange handshakes or hugs. C.S. Lewis writes this: "A man or a person whose hands are full of parcels cannot receive a gift." How full are your hands to not even receive God's promise, which arrives as a gift, given to all equally? Do you have faith ready to receive what this gift of grace offers to us? Or do we just walk away with our hands full and say no? Because we're not sure of the gift or the giver. Maybe we are afraid because we're not sure what this gift is all about. The prophet Isaiah wrote that when you are afraid, God will be gracious to you. And when you cry out to him, what you receive is grace and more grace. God knows what you're capable of handling each day. And yet when you acknowledge your need for help and cry out, the moment he hears, he will answer. Grace will lead you each and every day and will keep you safe as you're journeying through this life. God's grace will release your fears. You may be anxious about some of the things that seem to matter in this world. But God's grace controls everything, because it is God's love and guidance and we're in play. Grace comes from God. And through his love for us all, we're able to receive this gift in Jesus Christ. From John 1, we read that the Word became flesh and lived amongst us, and we have seen his glory. The glory as of a Father's only Son, full of grace and truth. From Christ's fullness, we have received grace upon grace, coming through Jesus. And it's not given because we have done good things, but in order that we may be able to do them. Barth, 20th century theologian, says, grace must find expression in life. Otherwise, it's not grace. Think about the story, the parable of what we call the parable of the prodigal son. The parable of the father with two sons from Luke 15. In this teaching story, the second son demands his inheritance, leaves the farm, and squanders all his money away. He realized that he could live better as a hired hand for his father, instead of eating cast-off food from the pigs that he was caring for. He comes to his senses and returns home. And when he arrives back at the farm, the father doesn't yell at him, beat him, or anything like this. He welcomes him into his embrace and prepares a banquet for everyone. The father acts out of grace for what he thought was lost. The father lavishes his son with gifts and doesn't find fault with what he has done. He just loves him. This is grace. Grace is God's gift to you in Jesus Christ. We experience grace because Jesus is the one who enables change. But we do not always acknowledge the gift that God gives to us. We think that it is ordinary, already used, no value, been around already, it's not really worth anything. But why do we say this? Because the gift that God gave was Jesus Christ. And over 2,000 years ago, the angels told the shepherds, there has been born for you a Savior who is Christ the Lord. Sometimes we forget the words which fulfill God's promise to us that the Savior would come. The baby was born for you. Jesus is the gift. Jesus is the treasure, and grace is precious because Jesus is the same. Jesus changes lives, and so does grace. To discover grace is to discover God's love for you. His stubborn resolve to give you another chance, a cleansing, a healing, a purging love that lifts those who have been hurt back on their feet. You do not save yourselves. It is Christ in you and through you. This grace that God gives us is a grace that grants us first the power to receive love and then the power to give it. A grace that changes us, shapes us, and leads us to a life that is eternally altered. All we need to do is have faith in God. Because grace happens here and now. Grace happens because of God and your faith in Him. You who believe will never be the same, for you are no longer who you once were. Martin Luther, the great reformer, stated, should anyone knock at my heart and say, who lives here? I should reply, not Martin Luther, but the Lord Jesus Christ. And we can say this with confidence because for by grace you have been saved through faith. This was God's doing. Christ lives in you and shall lead your life if you so let God. If you so desire God, if you receive this amazing gift of grace. Let us pray. Holy and wonderful God, we thank you. We thank you for this most precious gift we call grace. You made a promise many years ago that you would save us from our sin. And through this, we have been saved because of Christ's love for us, His life, His death, His resurrection, and most importantly, the gift of grace. Transform us, we pray. Change our hearts. Enable us to say, Christ lives within me. We ask this in Jesus' name.